A last-minute deal has been struck between Labor and the Greens to pass more than 20 bills through the federal parliament. The Senate will sit late into the night to finish its work for the year, but there won't be a vote on long-awaited reforms to political donation laws, as they've been shelved. Here's National Affairs editor Melissa Clark.
Labor had a long to-do list and a plan to speed things through the Senate. It didn't go down well.
I was not voted in this place to give you a free pass to put through 40 bills in one day.
Well, I could summarise my remarks simply as what Jackie said.
The government failed at its first attempt to cut short debate.
There being 33 ayes and 34 noes, the matter is resolved in the negative.
But had more success second time around, striking a super deal with the Greens to pass more than 20 bills.
We don't get everything we want, but we get a lot.
That includes $500 million for energy upgrades to social housing, making the Treasurer retain his power to intervene on interest rates, and no government funding for coal, oil or gas projects via Future Made in Australia or Export Finance Australia.
There is no case to use public money to finance coal, oil and gas here or abroad.
A separate deal was struck with the Coalition to expedite voting on bills they agreed with, including the social media ban for kids and changes to immigration detention.
We've supported some of what the government's done, so their criticisms of us around always being negative are not correct.
There was a major omission, though. A tentative deal between Labor and the Coalition to cap political donations and improve their disclosure fell over.
So that is one that we won't be progressing today.
We will continue to work with Labor to give this legislation the best possible chance of being passed.
The crossbench happy for the reprieve.
We've seen the big party stitch up on electoral funding reform crumble today.
As Parliament winds down for the year, campaigning for next year's election ramps up. Labor is buoyed by its successes this week, chalking up wins with limited concessions to the Greens and some strategic cooperation with the Coalition. And there's still hope within the government that its commitments to reform environment laws and limit gambling ads can be achieved before an election is called, and that could happen any time in late summer or early autumn. Melissa Clark, ABC News, Canberra.
And for more on how the deal was done between Labor and the Greens to pass the raft of bills through the Senate, here's the ABC's national political lead, David Spears.
Anthony Albanese and Adam Bandt began negotiating over the weekend. They've spoken every day this week and finally sealed the deal at lunchtime today in a meeting in the Prime Minister's office here. After fighting Labor on so many fronts throughout this parliamentary term, this 11th hour embrace of the government's agenda does represent a big shift for the Greens. They've secured more money for public housing energy efficiency, but the motivation here was also to show that the party can work constructively with Labor. They can be pragmatic, that Parliament doesn't have to be dysfunctional. The Greens want to assure voters they have nothing to fear from a minority government after the next election. For Labor, a day that began with chaos is ending with success. A big part of the government's agenda is set to pass, mostly with the help of the Greens, but on some fronts it's the Coalition coming to the party. The Prime Minister is heading into the summer break with more wins than many expected at the start of this week. And now, Anthony Albanese and Adam Bandt will shift their energy from fighting each other to targeting Peter Dutton in the lead-up to next year's election.